way of with the weather that we have. She's all right. She's dreading the next one.
Oh, man.
All right. Welcome to Strong and Uninformed Opinions. We're doing a little something different today.
This is, what episode is this? 3 or
4. We got a bunch of shorts too. I hope you guys are liking those. I made one today and I thought it was going to do much better than it did.
It was a good one.
I know. I thought so too. It was about the creation myth of the Apache Indians. Nobody gave a shit.
That's important.
So we're, you may notice, a little different setting here. We decided to record at night so we could drink. Normally we do them during the morning, which that would be wildly inappropriate, but
yeah.
So now I can have a couple drinks.
Coors.
Today, Chris Bailey, Jeff Galino, and we are joined today by Tommy Johnson. He used to do stuff with us on our old podcast. So we got 3 people that you don't want to listen to today. So let's talk about these fucking drones.
I tried to pull up the picture to show them, but it's like fucking crazy.
What picture are you talking about?
Dude, if you've seen it, it looks like a black B-52 bomber, and the thing is open, and it looks like a computer system inside the fucking thing.
So they did say that these things are like the size of a car.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
The drones are that big even.
Well,
one of my clients said they usually use them to spray crops and shit, those big ones.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that makes complete sense though. Like that seems like a lot of money to spray a fucking crop though, because that drone cannot be cheap.
Well, yeah, but they used to do it with planes, right?
Yeah, but renting a fucking plane, I'm sure, is a lot cheaper than
probably. Yeah, I mean, car-sized drone.
But I have a cousin who lives in New Jersey, which, by the way, is constantly begging me to figure out how we can do a call-in show. He wants to be on our show so bad.
That's rad.
And dude, this guy.
The one from Jersey?
Yeah, my cousin John.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, he's.
That wouldn't be too hard to do like a FaceTime.
I have not figured out how to do it.
Like FaceTime, right?
I don't know how to record. I don't know how to record where we're talking to him, and then I don't know how to do that. Yeah, so I'm not tech savvy.
Skype.
I looked into Skype, but it just so forget all that. But my cousin, he lives in North Jersey, and he was actually telling me that like they're all over the fucking place. They you walk outside, they're all night long. They're all
over.
Wow. Which I mean,
still no one really knows what they are.
Well, have you noticed that it's completely dropped off? Like no one's talking about it anymore.
Yeah. That's because everyone's talking about the terrorist attacks.
We'll get into that as well. But like the thing is that I personally, there's no way that was another country in my mind.
No.
Because if it was another country, America uses anything it can to go to war. If another country was flying, I mean, look at what happened with the Chinese balloon. Dude, they fucking blew that thing right out of the sky. It was all over the news. China did it. If another country
they let it fly across the whole country first.
Did you also know that they missed? When they went to go fucking blow it out of the sky, they fucking launched missiles at it. The missiles missed and just like landed somewhere.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, I know, right? Luckily it was like in the middle of nowhere though, or some shit. But that's the only reason I don't think it was another country is because we would have used that as the excuse to, like, they would have literally just been all like, hey, who do we not like? It's their drone. They sent drones over.
But they wouldn't even be able to get inside the airspace for that long every night, like that many.
Did you hear some of the reports about how they were coming off of the ocean, though?
Yeah.
And so, like, a lot of people were saying that there might be, like, a vessel off the East Coast.
And we wouldn't know about it? The Army?
See, yeah, that's
that's
disconcerting by itself.
They know when a cocaine speedboat's coming at them. You know what I mean?
No, I know. That's
they
where...
notice that.
But the idea that, like, it was another country, like I said, I feel like they would have been blasting that all over the news. They would have been saying, oh, it's Russia or it's China or it's Iran.
So you think it's just America,
so that American people would be like, well, fuck them. You know what I mean?
So it's just the government fucking with us.
I don't think that they're fucking with us. I do subscribe to the idea of that it was probably American-made drones either on some sort of like training thing where they wanted to see how the public would react to having drones flying over their houses all night.
Yeah, that would
Or people have said that they were maybe looking for like radioactive material.
I heard that one.
That makes some sense to me, to be honest with you.
Sure.
Because like instead of getting the public completely freaked out, which we've already got enough problems with the economy and all that shit, search for a dirty bomb on
so
the
you
low
think they're
key.
scanning for the ISIS attacks with those fucking drums?
I don't know if they're related. I'm not sure they're related at all. I mean, there's no evidence of that. I'm just saying that
they couldn't tell the public, like, hey,
yeah, like okay,
there's because there's a bomb right here.
Well, and I'll tell you,
so they'd have
The
to
show
do
24, you know.
well, and even after like
Seven.
9/11, one of their biggest concerns was a dirty bomb in the port of Newark, because like container ships and all that stuff don't come into New York. I mean, I think a couple do, but like most of them come into the port of Newark, which is in New Jersey, and that's where most of these sightings were actually happening, was in New Jersey. And I mean, it makes a lot of sense, like because you can't, yeah, like you can't alert the public to that type of shit because they would all freak out. And
yeah, cause like
and if you're searching for it at night, it's because you don't want the drones to be seen.
Well, they have lights on them and shit, and there's.
But that's for safety reasons. That's the other thing I would say. Like, if it was another country, do you really think they would have lights on them?
Yeah,
they'd be flying those things. Fucking. Do you really think they care?
stealth.
Do you really think that they fucking care if like a Cessna flies into one if they're trying to attack us? But if it's the government, they kind of need to have some sort of safety thing on it.
I
You know
think
what
it's
I mean?
the government.
Well,
I would say that for sure.
The other big one is that these drones give off no heat signatures, which I don't think most countries. I mean, you could say China's technologically pretty advanced, but most of their stuff comes from ripping off other countries. Like they're not. Nobody knows China for innovation. They're known for just being able to make it cheaper.
Right.
Okay. So I don't think that would have been like something that these guys would have the capability of, because even if it's electric, the motors would create heat. Everything would create heat, and they don't put off any heat signatures.
And that's
you never heard that one? Yeah. So like, part of why they were not able to track them through normal means is because there is no heat signature.
They could be sensitive on the heat.
But they're big with lights.
Like I said, I think they did that because they had to kind of like, I mean, could you imagine what would happen if one of these drones, and it was the government, was flying it over New Jersey and a fucking a traffic chopper flew into one?
Yeah.
That you would have such a fucking outcry of like what the fuck are they doing?
To your point, another country wouldn't care for that. Or they wouldn't care about if it hit a plane.
No, because if they're trying to attack us, I mean, they don't. I mean, they're attacking us.
Yeah.
That's that whole argument of like when people are like, I mean, me and you have had this conversation. They killed 2 people. Well, if it's war, their goal is to kill whoever.
Yeah.
You know, so like that's not really like, okay, they killed 2 people. It's an outrage. You're lucky they didn't kill more. You know, so same thing with the drone. But the biggest thing is that the response from our government makes me absolutely think it was our government.
Because they just don't give
It's like no response, right?
They didn't even bother trying to make up an excuse. They just literally were like, people were like, I've seen them with my own eyes. Police officers saw them. Public officials saw them. And the government still saw like, no, you didn't. Yeah, you're making that up.
Men in black.
Well, yeah, like totally. They just hold the thing up, flash your eyes. And then, you know, like now you just don't hear about it at all. I think that maybe they found what they were looking for, or they didn't.
Well, Trump even said, he's like, we know what they are. We know about them. Did you see that?
No. He said that. Well, what the fuck? That's what I'm saying. Like, we
Yeah,
know
there
that.
was a
Okay,
clip.
so
Yeah.
let me another whole reason. If that's what actually happened, do you really think Trump found out what they were and was all like, well, they didn't mean it? Like if it was another country. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trump would have been on the fucking news being all like, all right, nuke Iran.
We're going to war.
Yeah, totally. Like he would have been like, January 20th, we're blowing them up. Instead, it's just like, yeah, we know what they are. Next question.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
dude.
they pressed him a little bit. He's like, I'm not going to comment on it, but we know about him. You know.
See that? I'm sorry,
that's
dude.
government.
That is
It
government,
was like,
and it
well,
was
of course they know
it was
about
government, and it was a public threat.
Yeah.
That's the only thing it could have possibly been, because even if it was like a training act, Trump's too much of a fucking loudmouth. He would have been all like, "Oh, that's our wonderful military. Don't worry about them," you know. Like, but if it was an actual thing that would cause public panic, I would think that Trump is smart enough to be all like, "All right, next question." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not.
That's plausible. Yeah, that probably makes the most sense. I think. I almost thought it was the government was going to say, we don't know what these drones are, we don't know where they're from, so now we got to impose some laws, like no, like
Another
no,
9/11 thing.
yeah, like
Yeah.
Patriot Act.
Now
type
we
of
need a
thing.
Patriot Act. Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, for the longest time, I heard over and over, people were like, "It's the Amazon drones," and I mean, there's one problem with that. I have a cousin who's like big in the aviation. I don't. She works high up in some company, but the biggest thing with that is that first off, they are only allowed to operate those drones during the day, and I don't think that they're actually allowed to run them over major metropolitan areas.
And
yet.
they're not that big.
So the reason people were saying it was that is because I think the way Amazon is actually doing it is it's like a big drone that sends out little drones to deliver
That's
things.
creepy.
But they also
I
do
don't
so like
this world,
the
man.
other thing is that
They're
they're registered like fucking aircraft. So it would be just like an airplane. The FAA would know instantly that there was a fucking Amazon drone hub sending things out. So like they didn't mention that. Like so there was so many weird things to do. You were trying to find, but some of those videos are really kind of crazy. Like I mean, I saw one where like it was like 10 of them, like just all flying over one area.
Yeah, that's weird.
So I mean, that definitely wasn't enthusiast. It wasn't fucking. I mean, the only thing I can think of is, dude, our government, because I mean, they're the only ones who got the money to fucking do
And
shit.
that, well, the fact that the media just cut it off at a certain point says to me that it's like the government's like, okay, shut it down. We're not talking about it anymore.
Well, there's something to be said about what you said too about with the terrorist attacks. So Chris has been actually enjoying his life and not paying attention to the news. So he actually doesn't know about this, but so was it New Year's Day or New Year's Eve? New Year's Eve. A guy in New Orleans took a truck and just ran up and down the street running over people, right?
Yeah.
He had explosives in the truck too, I think, right?
I don't know about that.
I think he actually did have
a
explosives. Well, so what ended up happening was he ran into like a
pile of people.
No, a boom crane.
Oh, really?
And wrecked the truck. And as soon as he got out, from what I heard, the New Orleans cops they just fucking blew him away. Like they didn't even give him like a get on the ground type shit. You know, it was just. Now it could be argued that was because he was a man of color, but I think after you've murdered 20 people, you've lost your fucking right to have the whole like due process that they're just gonna shoot you.
Yeah,
oh, for sure.
Yeah,
especially
so.
when it's right in front of their face. Too.
Yeah.
Well, dude, did you watch the video? Did you see any of that?
No, I don't want
Dude,
to
it
see
is fucking.
I can't watch it.
It is. I mean, they don't show exactly, but like he's cruising up and down. I don't remember what the main drag in New Orleans is. He's cruising up and down, and all of a sudden you just see him stop, back up a little, and fucking just tear ass into this group of people.
Yeah.
And then he just keeps going and just on sidewalks and
What
fucking.
a piece of shit. Dude.
So it wasn't just like one thing that he hit. It was.
So he was like aiming.
He was gunning for people, dude. And like this was like we were talking about. This is not a guy who was like a foreign-born national. This guy was in the U.S. military for I think a total of like it's either 10 or 15 years. And I think he was a real estate agent.
Yeah, I saw that. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Because I saw the real estate video that they showed of him.
Seemed like a normal guy, right?
Yeah, it looked like a square.
Yeah, he totally was just like some, like you said, square, just like trying to promote his business and stuff.
Yeah, no,
That's crazy.
They said he was radicalized because he was like going through like a couple divorces and he had a lot of debt, some shit like that.
Like radicalized, like ISIS got in his head, and
They specifically say ISIS, but that could also be propaganda, you know, like trying to get us back on the ISIS thing because of Syria, because Syria, you know this one, right? Syria fell.
Yeah.
We haven't done an episode in like a month, but in that month, the entire country of Syria fell, and it was taken over by. They're saying they're not Islamist like radicals, but it doesn't seem like they're
nice
not
terrorists.
They say they're former Al Qaeda. I don't know if you flip flop on those type of ideology.
It smells like regime change.
Yeah.
Well,
orchestrated by the U.S.
I don't think it was.
I think so.
The only reason it doesn't smell like that is because
helpful.
they wouldn't have picked those guys.
Well, we'll see.
I think these are opportunists. They fucking saw that Russia is involved in Ukraine. They saw that we're involved with Israel. Israel is involved with Palestine and fucking Lebanon, and they were all like,
"Let's go for it.
Now's the time."
Could be.
Carpe diem.
Well, because with your Roman references. Because the other thing is that, you know, the Assad, who was in charge of Syria, was also fighting against Israel because Israel was bombing like the airports in Damascus and all these other things. So they were preoccupied too. They had other things that they were worried about, not to worry about a civil war that's been going on since 2012, I think.
In Syria?
Yeah, I think it's been going on for quite some time.
Wow.
So like they probably were literally like, well, those guys are just doing whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
While those guys were all like, nope, mount up, you know, and they just rode. Like, from what I heard, they didn't even get any resistance.
Yeah.
They like literally just rode into fucking
Took over.
Aleppo and like just fucking and Damascus and took it all over.
Yeah, it was quick, huh?
It was, because I remember, I think it was like 2 days before the country fell, they were talking about how these guys were on the move and that they had taken Aleppo with like no resistance. And Assad couldn't even get his army together to go and stop them. And then 2 days later, they were in Damascus. And we're not talking about like a lot of guys. We're talking like
little to no resistance.
We're talking like 100 fucking Tundras or like
Tundra?
Trucks.
Oh, okay.
Like they don't have like real military vehicles.
Yeah,
like we're talking about like just Glendale invading another town.
Yeah.
And they were able to topple a whole government. So I mean
that's crazy.
That does sound a little fishy, but it also sounds kind of, because I've told you that before. I think that the whole world, everyone thinks there's too much, like a lot of order in the world. I think it's the opposite.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the world's a shit show.
Uh-huh.
And they don't actually have control over much.
Anything.
Right.
Nothing's gotten control over. I agree with that.
Oh, I do have one thing I wanted to talk. Did you hear about how Trump wants to buy fucking Canada?
No.
You didn't hear that?
What the fuck?
So I guess Canada's kind of going broke.
And they're for sale?
No, they didn't offer it. He literally was just all like, well, why don't you just become like the 51st state? And so, like, here's the crazy thing. There's a lot of people who are like, it's not the worst idea.
Oh, of course they're not.
Well, because we are like their number one importer of like their oil. So if we took over Canada, or even just had some, not if we took them over, but if we had some sort of trade agreement with them, our oil prices would like just drop like a stone. And we would have way more oil than like the Middle East. We'd have more oil than Russia, all those things. And the other thing would be is that we would no longer have a northern border. So all of our resources towards the northern border would actually go to the southern border.
I could visit Canada because I have a DUI. So I'd be able
You
to
could
cross the
visit
border.
Canada. Actually, you know what I heard about that is that you can actually petition to have your rights restored to go to Canada.
I heard from Head, I got 2, so I don't got a shot in hell, pretty much.
That may be true. I don't know about 2, but I had heard that. I had a friend, a tattooer.
That's why I'm sober.
Do you remember a guy named
Good
Mike
idea.
Fight, a tattooer?
Yeah.
Okay.
He makes machines, right?
Well, he did. He passed away a couple years ago and stuff. But like, Mike always told me about this story about when they were drinking, and then they decided to go to Canada one night, and he was absolutely trashed. And the Canadian border guard did the whole like anything to declare, and he just screamed out war. And they wouldn't let him in the country.
I'm not shocked.
Dude, they literally were like, turn around. And I was like, oh my God, that's a fucking hysterical story.
That's great.
But so there's like the other thing is that there was other things about it because like I guess Canada's like economy is not doing very well right now. Like their money versus ours. I think Canadian money is called like the loon or the loony or something like that. It's named after a bird or something. But I don't think that it's because it's historically always been worth less than the American dollar. But I think it's actually worth way less now than it normally is.
Yeah, I've seen that. Like, because when I'm like buying shit on eBay, like Canadian prices are way lower than U.S. dollar prices.
Yeah. But I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny.
That's fucking crazy.
What was the other thing that we were going to talk? I don't remember.
We were going to talk about Rome.
All right. So backstory. I mean, I'm Italian, so I've always been into Rome. It's pretty much food in Rome are basically the only thing Italians have to like say that we're awesome. So of course I already know. But this guy recently, and I don't know why.
My ADHD or whatever just goes on kicks on shit.
And he is all about the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
And just learning about it and stuff like that.
It's a cool part in history.
It's really interesting.
So since you've been getting into it, have you not noticed the parallels of the Roman Empire to our empire?
Absolutely. That's all I can think about is like how basically we're living in a modernist Rome, basically.
Okay. So do you remember the Kennedys?
Except for women have more rights than when they would in Rome. They're not like
I don't know. Women were
from what I've been told. Like from what
women had a lot of rights. So we did a short on it if you want to check it out. But Rome was actually quite progressive for what it was.
For their time, probably women had.
You know,
women didn't have a vote,
the thing, and that's what the short is about. There was no racism in Rome. They didn't give a shit what color you were. They didn't care where you were from. They only cared that you were a Roman citizen. So there was absolutely xenophobia and nationalism. They are the kings of nationalism.
Yeah.
But they did not care where you came from. If you became a Roman citizen, you were better than everyone else. So the Roman Empire used to roll. They would send their army to the gates of a city, and they would say two things: become Roman citizens. Or what is it?
Plata or plumo.
What does that mean?
Silver or lead from fucking,
Okay, yeah, but that's not what they said. But yes, they would roll up to the gates of a fucking town and they would say, you either become Roman citizens or we're going to kill all of you. Or become slaves. They would.
Yeah.
And that would be the choices that you would get. And most of them, I don't know. I mean, granted, we don't have the information that we do now. I mean, half of these people that the Romans showed up to their doorstep had never even seen these guys before.
True.
So they may not have even known what they were up against. But I would have probably just been all like, yeah, I'm Roman now. Like, fuck that.
If they were just going to roll you anyway.
Well, I think that's what I'm saying about, like, they didn't know that Rome would just probably roll you.
Yeah. They could look at the army, though, and be like, oh, okay.
True. But did you ever, did you ever hear of the Mossad, I think it's called, or
I don't know.
Mossad? So it was one of the, which comes to a recent type thing, but it was one of the times when the Jews were in like a rebellion, and Rome sent an army to go and stop the rebellion. And a group of the militant Jews, they took refuge in this like it was like on top of like a mesa, but it was like a fortress type thing.
Oh yeah.
It was called Mossad.
Yeah, actually.
Okay, and the Roman Empire was sitting at the base of this thing, and they had locked themselves in. And they told them, same thing they told everyone, either surrender and just be part of the Roman Empire, or we're going to kill you. And it took them...
They killed themselves, right?
Yeah, they did.
They got
But
stuck up there. It's
Yeah.
kind of
No,
like a
they didn't
siege.
get. No, they didn't get stuck up there.
Yeah.
The Roman Empire then proceeded for the next year and a half to build a ramp
Yeah.
going up to the gates of this thing, and they held out that long.
You told me about that.
The Romans built this fucking ramp, and as soon as they got up there, the Jews all killed themselves
Yeah.
because they'd rather die by their own hands than live under Roman rule.
Yeah, I saw that.
But
Actually.
dude, there is something to
That's some commitment. They're like, we'll build a
Rome's
bridge.
like, hey,
It'll take 2 years.
They were like, we'll outlast you. I don't give a fuck. Then, what was the other one? Jesus Christ, dude! Like, did you know anything about Julius Caesar?
Well, that's what the one I'm watching right now and stuff like that.
Okay, so Julius Caesar there's one thing, I think it was Elysium. So they were attacking the town of Elysium.
Okay.
And the Roman Empire built a fortification
Is
around
that
the
they built
town.
the 2 walls?
Yes.
The
Okay,
double,
yeah. Okay.
So you guys, but did you hear what the Romans did?
Yeah, they fortified them like inside the walls.
Well, there's more to it than just that. So they built that first wall.
Yeah.
And the people of Elysium were like, okay, we do not have enough food. So they took all the women and children and told them, go surrender to the Romans. And so they came in between the town and the fortification. And they basically asked to surrender. And the Romans were like, nah. And so they all went back to Elysium and were like, hey, they're not letting us in. And the men were like, well, we don't have enough food. And so they just let all the women and children just die and starve.
Yeah.
In the
That's
meantime,
hardcore.
they fucking were sending the Gauls, right?
Yeah.
The Gauls were sending a reinforcement army to attack on the other side of the wall. So the Romans built another wall.
Yeah.
And they were fucking fighting on both sides, and they still won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That shit was crazy.
That's ingenious, right?
I think I don't know if it's
genius.
I don't know if it's ingenious or it just goes to show what
Determined
and what
they were.
Yeah.
No superiority of
Oh yeah.
like military can actually get you. You know, like because the Gauls, they would just line up and all just charge at them. There was no like discipline and stuff. Like the Roman army actually had a way of fighting where like the guy in the front would fight for like 2-3 minutes, and then they'd shift back, and the next guy would fight. But they're still fighting the same guys who have been sitting there slugging it out for like an hour.
That's smart.
So like when the brand new guy gets up there who's been waiting to fight, you're going up against a guy who literally has been fighting for an hour and is exhausted.
Yeah,
you know?
Smart, yeah.
So they would just fucking mow these people over.
I love that shit, like military tactics.
It's
just cool.
I mean, I used to play this game called Rome Total War. It was on the computer. Dude, that game was awesome because it was all about military tactics. It was all about like where you deployed your guys. Like if you would have the high ground and you would have your fucking cavalry on the outside and everybody always charges the fucking middle and you just
I'm watching that Napoleon.
The movie or
no, it's that YouTube channel I sent you about World War One.
Oh yeah. Oh, so you started watching about the Napoleonic Wars?
Yeah, man, he's brilliant, bro. Just on his tactics, like because they detail it out. They're like these horses went this way, they went up around the path. Like they know. I don't know how they know that detail. Like someone must.
Yeah, because you're in the time of people like
just
chronicling it, and it was corroborated by both sides, like what happened and all
but
that.
It was pretty cool.
Well, but what's even crazier about that is he was an artillery genius.
Yeah,
he actually was not like he didn't know much about I mean, he obviously did, but he wasn't known for the cavalry, the infantry. He was a guy who knew where to put the cannons.
Yeah,
and that's what he was famous for.
He just picked up the
dude. If you watch some of that shit, oh my god, dude! Like he is like outnumbered almost all the time.
All the time.
He's like cornered all the time, and he beats the shit out of them, dude.
He's like, we'll send these guys up here. It'll take 3 days, and just like
he splits. He does the thing you're not supposed to do. He'll split his army in 2.
Yeah,
like that's like a big no-no, and he was just doing it because he knew he could still win.
Yeah, he was smart, man. I haven't gotten too far into it. I didn't know much about him, so I don't know. He's pretty looked down upon in history, right?
Well, I think I told you this. One of the reasons that so he fought Technically, they say he was fighting for the people because he was the first person to go up against the monarchies of Europe. So if you were for the monarchies, kings, queens, princes, and all that shit, you fucking hated Napoleon. But Napoleon was he he was part of what the French Revolution created. Okay, and so like the people of France loved him. Okay, but he was really just a megalomaniac who wanted to run the fucking show
At the end of the day.
at the end of the day. So he was not actually a good person. But everybody, hi.
Your trunk's open.
Oh, crazy.
Crazy. All right.
His trunk's open.
Yeah, he's going to go run real quick. We'll talk about Napoleon while you're gone. But at the end of the day, he fucking, he was kind of like a dictator. But like, he was fighting against the people who were oppressing the average person already.
Right. That's
so
cool.
That's
I'm
why
into
he.
that.
Huh?
I like that.
No, I get it, but that's why he's portrayed that's why he was a hero to some
Yeah.
and a fucking Hitler to others. So the people who absolutely hated him generally were, and I mean, he also did murder a lot of people. So I mean, it's definitely not cut and dry. So it's not an easy thing to get into.
I'm in the beginning when he was in command of the Italian army, like his first Italian.
Important to remember this: Napoleon was actually Italian.
Yeah.
He's from Corsica, which for most of the time Corsica was part of Italy, but his descendancy is from, I want to say, the Genovese aristocracy. So he wasn't necessarily just like a common person. He was actually kind of royalty. So, shit. But anyway, so back to the Roman Empire. He's all into it, so he just saw Gladiator 2.
For sure. But one thing I want to say, what's crazy is that, so I remember I told you I'm part of that YouTube group that I like hang out with, where they follow the death row guy or whatever, and they want it's like a video where they listen to video calls about the guy on prison phone calls and shit. Basically, one chick I mentioned I was all into Rome and stuff, and ever since then I've been hated on in the group and stuff. It's because men are obsessed with Rome or something now. It's
Well,
this thing that so now I've been pegged into this group of just men that are obsessed with Rome, super macho.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, dude. I don't know if that's even new.
I didn't know that was something.
Yeah, I mean.
I was I just thought it was kind of cool to learn about this season.
Guys generally like things that are.
It's interesting shit, though. You know what I mean? Though.
Yeah, but okay. Ask a woman about their view on World War II, and then talk to a man about it, and then they're like, "Oh, the heroics and the da da da." A woman's gonna be all like, "What a fucking waste of life."
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
They're probably right.
I would say they are right, but it's it doesn't mean I still don't like World War II and Band of Brothers and.
I guess
I just don't think you ostracize someone there for their opinion.
What world are you fucking living in, dude?
I know.
You're fucking ostracized for anything nowadays, dude.
Fair enough.
So I mean, you can have an opinion on something that doesn't seem to matter at all, and all of a sudden you're a piece of shit.
Gambling.
Well, I don't know. I know some women who gamble like motherfuckers. So I don't think that's a male thing, dude.
Sure
yeah. I think anyone likes to fucking.
War movies are definitely a guy thing.
Oh, dude, totally. And I mean,
almost exclusive.
I don't think there's any woman in the world who gives a shit about Napoleon, other than maybe the love story part of Josephine and Napoleon.
Right.
But
the crazy.
Yeah, I'll talk to my wife about it.
The crazy thing is the videos that I'm watching on YouTube of the historians and stuff that are talking. They're women talking about the subject. They're not fucking men.
Yeah, but those aren't the people who are talking shit to you.
No,
they're the ones teaching you.
The one teaching you.
I'm not broad brush. I'm just saying that in general, guys are way more likely to be into that type of shit.
Crazy,
you know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean that a woman's not into history.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know. So, but what we were gonna get
Gladiator
into Gladiator 2.
Fucking A.
I thought it was not great. I mean, it had some parts that were mildly cool. I did like that it tied in to the first one. That was unexpected.
That's what I was going to say. That it kind of legitimizes, because you didn't like how they called it Gladiator 2.
It did. It did. It made it a little bit more. I was able to swallow it a little bit more. It didn't make it better, but I still think they could have called it Gladiator and then a subtitle.
The Reckoning.
Yeah, or Gladiator, the Revenge, or something. Just sounds better than Gladiator 2.
Yeah. I get it.
You know what I mean? Like, but dude, some of the stuff in that movie, I actually thought that the Emperors were cool.
I like them.
Because they were so over the top, and like that's kind of what started happening was the Roman emperors were just figureheads, and they weren't really running anything. They were just fucking crazy motherfuckers. And, you know,
the one guy was super crazy.
Well, no, he legitimately was crazy because they used to drink wine in Roman times with lead in it.
Oh.
And it was only things that only like the rich people could afford it. It was considered like a delicacy. I think it was called cistern wine, or it had a name. But that's why a lot of them went fucking nuts, is because they were drinking this fancy ass wine that literally they were just dropping lead into it.
That's crazy.
So they all got lead poisoning and went nuts.
That's why he was crazy. The other.
Remember, that's why Van Gogh cut his ear off.
Yeah.
Van Gogh was notorious. He was using lead-based paint. He would lick his fucking paintbrushes. He fucking went nuts. He decided to cut his goddamn ear off. Oh, pizza. I'm going to grab the pizza real quick.
Hey, pizza.
Speaking of Rome.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. I liked it. I thought it was full of good, fun moments. But I did think that the baboon scene was cheesy as hell with the battle with the cheesy the baboon fight. Remember the first
the baboon? Dude, all the CGI in that movie was absolute trash.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Absolute trash.
The sharks and the.
Well, no, I take that back. The battle scenes were okay. That first battle scene with the fucking boats pulling up.
That was tough.
Yeah, that was cool.
However, though,
I know you hated the boats with the fucking platforms.
No. That was a real ass thing. What I hated about it was because I like history. That was not something that happened in that time period.
Yeah, it wasn't in the time.
Okay, they also in one of the scenes are using something that wouldn't be invented for another 1,000 years. They were using trebuchets, which. Shit wasn't around then. So like
those weren't around. I thought those.
No, they had catapults, and then they created trebuchets.
Those are the ones that spin around.
Those are the ones that spin around. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think I'm saying it right. I think they're trebuchets. But
right.
The other thing is that where they said that they were invading had already been conquered.
I know. Yeah.
So like that was not a thing. You know, like so. Come on.
It didn't line up.
I mean, if you're spending millions of dollars to make a fucking movie, dude, hire the fucking lady who was teaching you shit on YouTube and be all like, hey, is this even right? You know?
I do think your opinion with the water battle would have been tight with the freaking hippopotamuses and crocodiles.
Because that's what it would have been like, dude. So in this fucking movie, dude, what did you think about the sharks?
Oh, that whole thing was stupid.
It was insane, dude. First off, sharks can't be transporting.
How would they?
I mean, they can, but not like in Roman times. Like, dude, they can't sit still, and they have to fucking be like. How would they have gotten fucking sharks there?
That was the stupidest thing I ever saw.
Well, the stupidest thing was the rhinoceros. Dude, you can't tame a rhinoceros to fucking have a person riding on it. Like, that's just no. You can't.
Okay.
It's not like, do you think so? You just literally cannot do that. Like, you're not going to get a rhinoceros to be all like, yeah, go ahead, ride me.
The first one seemed like real, like nothing was outlandish.
No, it wasn't. But even the first one had historical problems with it, but it was absolutely a better movie. It was made by the same guy, dude. Like, you want to talk about, like, just fucking cashing in and being like, fuck it. Like, why did he... Ridley Scott is known for making good movies, dude. What the fuck, dude?
I have to say I didn't really like it overall. I mean, it was good, but it wasn't like...
It wasn't epic.
Yeah.
It was something that took up 2 hours. Was it even 2 hours? I think it was 2 hours. Took up 2 hours of my time, and that was all I'll say about it. Like, I'm not even sure I'd ever watch it again. I thought Denzel was good in it.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, he was actually like trying.
That was the best part.
He was doing a good job.
Character.
Yeah,
it was good.
But
he was good.
Did you know that's Pedro Pascal's brother? The guy who was the main character? Yeah, that was his brother.
Really?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too, but I didn't think he did very well. I thought Pedro Pascal was kind of like just an after. He was good in the beginning and then just like disappears almost. Yeah. And so Tommy loved the movie the first time he saw it, and then he talked to me. And went and saw it the second time and then was all like, oh, well, it's not that good. But my thoughts on the part with...
So I think it's entertaining, but like when he brings up the points about the shit missing and stuff like that, and like not in the right time period, that kind of like ruined it for me a little bit.
You're the one who likes the historical stuff, so if you're gonna go...
But I'm just saying, but like when you kind of pointed that shit out to me, like with the catapults and stuff, I'm like, oh, motherfuckers don't belong there. I'm like, God damn it. I'm like, all right.
They're using shit that would have literally been used in like the Crusades.
And would a chick really have been like the main archer on a fucking battle scene?
Yeah, no, because like I said, one of the weird things about like ancient history like that is that a lot of cultures actually respected women and culture and all that shit a lot more than I'd say we do. So like that's the weird thing about it. I mean, because like back to the whole idea of like women being treated better and stuff, like. This might get me in trouble, but women were seen as the creators of life. Yeah. So that was respected. You know what I mean? And so to say that they were treated worse in Roman times is not necessarily true. It had a lot more to do with class. If you were a fucking slave woman, you were treated just as bad as a fucking slave man. They like I said, they only cared that you were a fucking Roman citizen. That's all they cared about. And if you weren't, then you were a sack of shit. That's that whole like nationalism that's almost to the point of, but it wasn't racism though, because like they didn't care what color you were.
Right.
They only cared that Romans were better than everyone else.
Right.
And if you weren't a Roman, you could become a Roman. But if you weren't a Roman, you sucked. And that was like their main thing.
Kind of like the United States with immigrants.
Yeah, I'd love to think that we're not like that, though.
But I mean, it feels like it, though, doesn't it? Like,
I don't know.
It feels like
maybe with some people, dude.
I feel like our country fucking hates on immigrants now because of fucking.
See, but I think some people do, but dude, I don't think in general, man. Because I mean,
I like immigrants.
I absolutely love other cultures.
Me too.
I mean, I think that's actually one of the coolest things about America is that I'm not stuck in a culture. I get to be in a melting pot.
And you look at like the big cities like San Francisco, New York, like they have.
Like what we were talking about with Chinatown and all that stuff.
They have their own culture, have their own space.
I love that, dude, because cool. I mean, dude, there's very little chance I'm ever going to China.
Yeah,
but it doesn't mean that I'm not. Oh, that's right. Fucking what's his name sent you?
Jim Watson.
That's fucking weird, dude. I forgot you told me about that.
That was crazy.
But I'm probably never gonna go, and it doesn't mean I'm not interested. And I want to know the real shit.
It's nice to go downtown and be like you're all kind of in China if you're.
Yeah, like I mean, dude, I used to work at a Chinese restaurant where the people who owned it were from the Hunan province, and dude, I love talking to them.
Yeah, that's cool.
I mean, you want to talk about finding somebody who actually likes America? Go talk to a fucking immigrant. Dude, half of the time, like, dude, they had to put up with some shit to fucking get here, dude. So, like, a lot of times when we talk about, like, hating on America and stuff, dude, those are the first ones that'll literally kind of get mad at you for it. Because they gave up everything to come here, dude. And you're just making it seem like, I fucking hate it here, man.
Yeah, there's people
while you're watching
if you fucking vote for this guy.
Well, yeah, and I mean that's fucking dumb, dude. Like, we are literally living in the best time ever for like the average person, and we act like we are being the most oppressed out of everyone. Which
that's eye-opening.
There's something to be said about our freedoms being taken away and all that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I agree with that.
I'm talking about like, in India, there's still fucking serfs. Or not serfs, the caste system.
Yeah.
You're born a fucking laborer. You will die a laborer. Your kid will be a laborer, and you will never get anything above that.
Yeah.
That is not how America works, dude. You could be born to the poorest fucking person, and now, again, everybody uses the pull yourself up by the bootstraps and shit. But you do have that opportunity.
Yeah.
It's not that it's easy,
No.
but you're allowed to do that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So, I don't know. But back to the movie. Back to the movie. Yeah, Gladiator 2 was not.
I was disappointed.
It
I liked it, but it was like, then once you pointed out the stuff, it was like, yeah. But I still.
I mean, do you think you'd watch it again?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I almost
battle scenes.
I almost bought it. Almost bought it on fucking Apple TV for my fucking collection.
Yeah. I mean,
just to have it with.
How much is it right now on Apple TV though?
$25.
That's a little much for this movie. I'll just say.
I'll let it drop.
I'll wait till it's $12.
I like history.
I love history.
We just talked about Rome for fucking 30 minutes. Yeah, I bet.
I'm all about it now. You got me into it.
This is probably going to be a 2 episodes because we went for a while. So
split it up.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
Between me and my coughing fit, and we got some places to cut things. So, but yeah, strong and uninformed opinions. We'll see you.
Cheers.
Probably in a couple weeks, and have a good one.
Have a good one.